This land is cold-blooded. It butchers the weak and has annihilated civilizations. Even so, there are those who have risen to tower above the beast that is Skyrim. Some are beings of incredible power, casting a shadow across the land, while others flow without trace, leaving a profound peace as the only mark of their passing influence. This is a record of the shadows, an accounting of the marks left on history by the ones who would not be crushed by this land. This is Expedition Skyrim.
Welcome, dear viewers, to CouchWarriorTV on YouTube. Welcome back to Expedition Skyrim, Volume 1, Demon Hunter. You know what? This is Episode 3, and we are getting a little bit further down into the Dawnguard questline now. And I have done some things off camera. Stop pushing me, Serana. I've done some things off camera and kind of done a little milk run for the Dawnguard to gather up a couple of additional soldiers for the fight. That was pretty much just a standard fetch quest kind of thing, so I didn't bother filming that. Which leaves us at a point now where we are, in this episode, going to seek out and find a moth priest who is going to help us decipher that Elder Scroll that is on Serana's back. But before we do that, I want to talk a little bit about the roleplay aspect of Korvelain, because one of the things that we do need to think about with this character is what we've discussed so far, given her attitude towards the undead and conjured, these raised zombies and vampires and all this kind of stuff. She obviously has some very strong feelings about these kinds of sort of unnatural constructs and so forth. And because of that, we have to give some consideration to what her attitude is going to be.
I knew it would come to this one day. I knew. And no one believed.
Yep, his run is gloating. We need to just kind of understand what our character's mindset is with regard to partnering up with Serana. I think in the last episode, where we actually were able to release Serana from her hibernation, if you will, and escort her home, I think it seemed fairly plausible that Korvelain would do this, because it was pretty clear from the start that Serana was not being openly hostile, that she was looking for help, that based on the evidence, she had clearly been in this state of suspended animation for a very, very long time. And if we are going to be the pragmatist, which I think Korvelain is, she is going to look at this, initially at least, as an opportunity to have a vampire basically lead her right to where their heart of power is, right? So not only are we able to find out where the vampires are, where they're holed up, where they're hiding, but who's in charge and all of that kind of stuff, right? And then I think there are also some interesting things to be said about what takes place in that scene. Korvelain is basically witness to Serana's relationship with her father, And that, based on previous conversation with Serana about, some of her attitudes toward her father, lead us to believe that there is definitely friction between Serana and her very powerful vampire lord father that we might be able to exploit. So, in the end, basically what happens is we turn down the gift of the vampire lord, and we are basically banished from the chamber and told that from that point onward we are going to be prey, that we have chosen our side, and that in doing so we have opened ourselves up to attack. So, taking all of that together, I think that Korvelain's relationship with Serana is going to be one of convenience, one of unease, but one that could maybe grow a bit more amicable over time. To begin with, when I went through all of those stages of the quest, I tried to select what I thought were sort of the most terse and direct dialogue options possible, because at that point my mindset with Korvelain was that Serana was a vampire. I don't have time for you. You are basically the enemy, but I'm tolerating you for now because I need you in order to find where the other vampires are. Now we find ourselves, having done a couple of jobs for the Dawn Guard, back here in Dayspring Canyon, and Serana has come back and is pleading for help and offering up some assistance in figuring out how to decipher the scroll and also to stop her father's plan, which she obviously believes to be ludicrous now and extremely dangerous. So we're getting the impression right now that Serana has a significant difference of opinion with her father on what should be happening in the world with regard to vampires. And it has been substantiated by both Serana and her father in conversation with Serana that there was some betrayal between Serana and her mother and the vampire lord, right? So we sort of get the impression that there is some truth to her claims that she stands against the larger plans of her father for vampires. So I think at this point, Korvelain's attitude towards Serana is still one of, I think, caution, but the pragmatist in her is saying, this is my enemy, but this is a person who I need right now in order to further my aims, which are to not only eliminate the vampires, but make sure that we're utterly destroying their plans for world domination at the same time. So that begs the question, however, what about Serana's methods? What we've seen so far is that in the last episode, Serana made use of the undead quite extensively, either conjuring them, raising them, and having them fight for her, which is a concept that Korvelain finds repellent. And so I think this is the stage at which Korvelain exerts some authority over Serana and is basically going to say, those are tactics that I'm not going to allow you to use in my presence. So how do we accomplish that from a roleplay perspective in game? It's possible. It's not easy to do. You can't really do it very directly where Serana is concerned. If Serana was more of a generic follower, and in other words, if she didn't have so many hooks into this quest line, we might have a little bit more control over her. But there's only so much we can do with Serana because of how she is structured in this DLC. So what I'm using right now is the Extensible Follower Framework. I highly recommend it. It does some amazing things. And I feel like I've had better results with this than things like Amazing Follower Tweaks, just in terms of stability and all kinds of stuff. So I think what we're going to do is we can't actually... So if... Yeah, let's take a look at this. I'll just show you what I'm talking about here. So right now what we're looking at is kind of the generic or vanilla follower dialogue stuff that we have going on with Serana. What we really want to do is be able to control Serana through the use of EFF. So to do that, I'm going to basically target her. I'm going to go into EFF and I'm going to recruit her into EFF. Now that I've done that, the EFF menus are going to apply to Serana. And if I take a look here, for example, at magic. Now this is normally a spot where I could add and remove spells at will. But because she's a vampire, because she's so hooked into this quest, I'm unable to take away her raise zombie spell option. It's just not possible. So in order to get her to function the way that I need her to for roleplay purposes, what I'm going to do is, rather than try to take something away from her, I'm going to try to give her a few spells as alternatives that she could use that are perhaps more powerful than what she might have by default, and see if we can't get her to use some alternate spells that would allow her to not have to rely so heavily on raising the dead and those kind of things. And that might give us sort of the general feel we're looking for from a roleplay perspective. So what I'm going to do is, what I've got loaded up here is something called the Add Item menu. I highly recommend this, the Add Item menu. I'm going to go in here and I'm going to search for Tome. Okay, this is going to give me all the spell tomes in the game. And then under here, I'm just going to search first, I think, for Fire. And I am going to just grab, we'll try a Fireball and a Firebolt. See if I can give those to her as offensive alternatives. And then I think the other thing I want to do is I'm going to also just grab this Conjure Frost Atronach. This will allow her to conjure an Atronach as opposed to raising the dead, which might be obviously more acceptable to Korvelain, because it's not raising the dead. In other words, it's not what I would consider to be so much of an abomination, but at the same time, we know Serana, in vanilla terms, to be kind of a conjurer, right? I mean, she's constantly reanimating bodies. This would be a way for us to sort of simulate some of that without it having to be undead necessarily, and that gives us a great roleplay device as we say that Korvelain asserts control over her follower. So here what I'm going to do now is, in order for this to work, Korvelain's got to commit these spells as well. I may as well read this. Well, I got it. Okay, now we're just going to give them to Serana. And I can do that in a couple of different ways. Probably the easiest way here is just to go to Magic. All right, and we are going to give her this. I'm just going to highlight what I want to give her and press E. It doesn't give you any clues down here, so that's just what you got to do. All right, and we're going to give her Fireball and Firebolt. And hopefully we'll be able to encourage her to use these spells then. And we'll test this in combat. We'll see what she actually does in combat. I have done some preliminary testing, and it seemed to work pretty well. These spells are powerful enough that she seems to want to use them more than what she was using by default before. Now, the other way that you might be able to accomplish this in the vanilla game is to give her any staffs that you find, and she might revert to using a staff more than using some of her raised dead spells. So if you give her a powerful chain lightning staff or something like that, maybe she'd be more apt to use that. That'd be another way that you could kind of get around this. One of the things that I will show you here is the reason I'm doing this is if I go under the combat options in EFF, I really don't have an option to just say specifically, don't do this. I could say be a mage, but she's already a mage. I don't think that would have much impact on how she actually uses her spells. So I think this is a good alternative. All right, with that, let's get out of here. No, she's still following me, right? All right, cool. So now we've got Serana. We're going to go gather up Lydia, and then we will be on our way. All right. Now, with EFF, I've got this nifty option called Leader's Telepathy. I'm going to select that. That just basically allows me to control my minions remotely. So I'm going to tell Lydia to follow me. All right, and she's kind of down the path from where we are right now. And then we are going to find this moth priest. So we are going to reconvene in Riften. All right, we're back. All right. We need to talk to a carriage driver.
Need a ride?
Have you seen a moth priest?
Old man with a gray robe.
Yeah, that's right. Have you seen him?
Might be that I have. I can't say for sure.
Oh, jeez.
I got enough troubles in my mind just trying to scrape by.
All right. All right. Please, it's very important that I find him.
Can't help you, friend. I might remember better if my pockets weren't so light.
Okay. All right. Maybe this will put your mind at ease.
Oh, yes. I remember your moth priest now. He wanted me to take him out to Dragonbridge, but I told him it ain't one of my stops.
All right. So, we are going to go to Dragonbridge.
Let's get indoors.
He said it's not one of his stops. Are you
Carriage
sure
is
about
the
that?
safest way to travel. Where do you want to go?
Dragonbridge? You're right, it isn't one of your stops. I suppose we could go to Solitude, or Morthal for that matter. Alright. Well, yeah, maybe we'll just take a carriage to Solitude. Let's do that. Alright, everybody, let's go.
We'd best hurry it up.
All right, off we go. Let's head to Dragonbridge and see if we can find this moth priest. All right. Now, right now, I am pretty much sticking with a combination of spells that were the result of some of our testing from the last episode. So, I have in my quick menu the King's Heart, the Hallowed Weapon, Guardian Circle, and then I've got another one called Death Circle, which allows me to cast kind of a radius spell that will basically kill anything inside that radius automatically that is down to 40% of its total health, which could be kind of a nice coup de grace option. I've never tried it before, but there may be call to use it. We'll have to see. And my followers are where? Hello, Lydia? Huh. They stopped following for some reason. Why would that be? Serana? Follow. All right. Well, they'll catch up. We'll just walk until they do. All right, so we're going to track down this moth priest, see if we can rescue that guy and get him back to Fort Dawnguard. Uh-oh. Ow. Are these vampires? Come on now. They are vampires. Come on.
I'm going to enjoy this.
You can see our... Look at that. That is awesome. We just got a whole ton of help from kind of our passive undead damage there. The whole time that we were fighting, it was slowly whittling away at them as soon as they attacked us, which is pretty cool. And then it was also amped up by the fact that I was using King's Heart to kind of heal along the way, and then Hallowed Weapon also increased the damage of that passive effect, which really helped us out a lot. It was actually quite a bit more effective than I expected. And we are still playing at master difficulty at this point. Where the heck are my followers? Come on, you losers. What's going on? Can't take them that long to catch up, can it? Hey, what's with you guys? What are you standing around for? Standing around while I get attacked. Yeah, you're following? Yeah, so what's the issue? Korvelain's pissed. They disobeyed a direct command. Okay, so let's continue on. Let me double check this. King's Heart is 2, Hallowed Weapon is 3. Alright, it's going to remember that. I keep changing up my lineup as I experiment with spells. And every time I do that, I always have to hit the quick menu again to remind myself of how I had reconfigured things. Bloodsuckers. What on earth is going on? This is really annoying. They keep dropping as followers. Why would that be? Can I not have both of them follow me at the same time? That can't be possible, right? All right, let's go do some EFF follower maintenance. Where are they? They're just hanging out there. What's with you guys? All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to EFF. I'm looking at Lydia here. Going to go to settings, and we're going to do maintenance. Fix actor. Recruit actor. Great. All right. Let's see what we're doing with Serrani. Where'd she go? Hey, stop. Stop moving. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Command. Okay, everybody's set to be following me now, right? They seem pretty active now, pretty animated. Are we good now? Can we go? Not gonna make me walk backwards all the way to Dragon Bridge, are you? All right, let's do this. That also is a nice feature of EFF that I like, you know, the ability to periodically reset if you're having a conflict between a couple of mods or between a quest follower and a non-quest follower. It's not the first time I've had to use it, and it's just kind of a nice way to start fresh if you need to. So as long as I can hear footsteps behind me, I feel a bit safer. So I think we'll go to Dragon Bridge and probably stop at the inn, maybe talk to the innkeeper and see if we can find out if anybody's seen the Moth Priest hanging around. And then hopefully we'll get some direction from there. Has been a while since I've done this quest line, as I said in the last episode. I don't remember all the details. So this is a bit of an exploration for me as well. All right, I think we're good now. I think we're all fixed up.
Take a seat and get the cold out.
Need some information, please.
They don't look so good. Are you feeling all
Oh,
right?
man. Did I get messed up? Looking for work. Rumors. Let's try rumors, maybe? I mean, this seems like a logical place to go, but maybe it's not.
Been talk of a little boy in Windhelm.
Ah.
Name of Aventus Aretino. Get this. He's been trying to contact the Dark Brotherhood. Foolish lad.
All right. Let's see. I got a cure disease. I do. All right, well, let's go look around. Maybe we can find some other information. After the last episode, a question came up in the YouTube comments about
Let's get indoors. Or in a cave. Anywhere. Just
when are you going to talk to us about the Demon Hunter? Why is she called a Demon Hunter? You haven't explained that. And she hasn't been fighting any demons, and that doesn't make sense. Well, first of all, I did explain it. I explained that the name Demon Hunter was based on the fact that it was modeled after a Diablo 3 character type called the Demon Hunter. And the other issue is we don't really have any quote-unquote demons to fight in this game, per se. So what's the equivalent for us? Look at that goat. He's aggressive. He's actually just going after that bear. I've never seen that. Look at him. That's awesome. Come on, goat. Get in there. Come on, goat. I want the goat to finish him. Oh, man. That was amazing. I've never seen a goat fight. That was great. Hey, goat. I'm proud of you. I'm impressed. Look at him. He's feisty.
I'm no fan of the sun.
So I just wanted to quickly address that. When I think of Korvelain, I think of her really as an undead hunter. I mean, that's what we have. That's really what we have to hunt in Skyrim, is vampires and, you know, all manner of undead draugrs and ghosts and, you know, those kinds of things. So that's really what we're doing here. And we don't necessarily need to be too literal about the name. I think the name is really just paying homage to what the character concept is loosely based on. We're just in a different setting. I would say perhaps the closest thing to a demon that we actually have to hunt are gargoyles, which of course are working with the vampires anyway. So by fighting the vampires, we're on the right track. However, I would like to take what I think is a somewhat more interesting look at the whole concept of Korvelain Demon Hunter, and suggest that really the demons that Korvelain is hunting are her own inner demons. And we've pretty well established that through the first 2 episodes, who she is as a person and the things that she's trying to overcome. Oh, here we go. So yes, Korvelain is a demon hunter, but she's fighting her own inner demons, right? So I like that. It's got a poetic quality to it. I think it fits the character. All right, crap. Was this a vampire? Note. All right, we better read this. Vampire's note. I have new orders for you. Prepare an ambush just south of Dragonbridge. Take the Moth Priest to Forebear's Holdout for safekeeping until I can break his will. Malchus. Okay. What's this? Effects of the Elder Scrolls. Okay. All right, so we need to find this place. All right, we're on the right track. Our Moth Priest has been kidnapped. All right. Oh, we're pretty close. Can I get up here? Well, I could get up here. I don't know if my followers can get up here. They're going to have to go around, I think. Somehow. All right. Where is this? Alright, there must be an entrance up there somewhere. Hello, ladies. Wait a minute. Is it behind here? Where? Ah, look at that. Ooh, that's really well concealed. Yeah. I'm using enhanced landscapes here, and it adds a lot of additional rocks and trees and all kinds of amazing things. But there have been a couple occasions where
This must be that beautiful Skyrim weather
I've
I've
actually
always heard about.
found myself having to use console commands to turn on clipping so that I could get inside mountains to retrieve the contents of chests and things. So there are a few little glitches like that that are pretty much unavoidable with a mod that makes that many changes. All right, so we're going to go in there. First thing I'm going to do, cast King's Heart and get us prepped. And here we go. Oh, King's Heart was left behind. All right, here we go. Now again, constantly reminding myself of what the combat style is here. Korvelain is not a stealth fighter. She is in your face. My followers were smarter and took the stairs. I think they got that in hand. And look at, yeah, Serana's using the spells that we gave her, which is ideal. That's what we needed. So, Serana has listened to us, and she is following orders and not using the infernal undead spells. Ideally, I'd like her to not be using the Drain Vitality destruction spell either, which is obviously Vampiric Drain. She didn't appear to be using that either, so that's good.
You knew I'd make
Oop,
something.
that's a thrall. Oh, wait a minute. She did raise that beast. All right. Well, there's only so much we can do, right? So we may have to just express our displeasure in other ways. All right, we bumped up our damage with Hallowed Weapon, getting lots of passive damage here. Well, Lydia's going to get in my way. This is Malchus right here. All right, we provided a little bit of support there. That was good. Ooh, a waystone. We don't know what that is, but we're taking it. Hey, you. Yeah, I'm talking to you. Kill that frickin' abomination. All right? Okay, that's our displeasure for now. We'll find other ways to express it later. But best we can do. Okay, Adept Robes of Alteration. Ebony Warax. Staff of Hailstones. That could be interesting. Doesn't weigh too much. Alright, so let's do this. Let's try this tack. Could you please? Let's give her the staff. I'm not sure if she'll use it or not, but it's worth a try. Alright, there is our Moth Priest, so we need to get him out. Okay, I'm really impressed with how the restoration spells are working, how well this character works with followers. There's just really a lot to like here. And I'm thinking that in the next episode, what we are going to do is we are going to move the difficulty up yet again to Legendary. And we're going to continue at Legendary and see how that feels.
I serve my master, but my master is dead. And I knew I heard something.
Who's there?
What? Stop! Stop! What? Why is he attacking us again? Cease and desist. Why are we fighting?
Wait, stop! I yield!
Oh, jeez.
That wasn't me. You were fighting.
Who was it?
I could see through my eyes, but I could not control my actions. Thank you for breaking that foul vampire's hold over me.
What?
You arrived just in time. I think those vampires were getting hungry.
Okay. Are you all right?
I'm quite all right, thanks to you. Dexian Evicus is my name. I'm a moth priest of the White Gold Tower. These vampires claimed they had some purpose in store for me, but they wouldn't say what. Probably hoping to ransom me, the fools.
Oh, no. I know why they needed you. Because we need you for the same purpose.
You do? All right
Yes.
then. Enough mysteries.
We're called the Dawn Guard, and we need you to read an Elder Scroll? Or I'll explain later. Right now, we need your help, and time is short. I'm going to go with that, saying that she's not going to want to stand around here. She's going to basically want to hustle him out of here.
Well, you saved me from those vampires. I suppose the least that I can do is hear you out.
Yes. You can find us at Fort Dawnguard near Stendar's Beacon.
Very well. I'll hurry on my way there before more of those vampires turn up.
Yeah. Okay, anything up here? Now, the one thing that I did do, I feel like was the right thing to do, was immediately kill the vampire that Serana raised. And, you know, it's, when you think about it,
Thank the divines for you.
it's kind of an interesting roleplay restriction in a way that Korvelain and Serana are going to be basically butting heads constantly over this issue of raising the dead for the purposes of defense and attack, right? And if we somehow feel from a roleplay sense that Korvelain is obligated to not allow that to happen, every time she kills one of those zombies or whatever before it can engage in whatever battle we're having,
Thank the divines for
it's kind of her way of, I think, stepping on Serana's neck and basically putting her foot down where that issue is concerned. And it certainly makes things more difficult for us, but I think it's kind of an interesting illustration of the whole concept of the disagreement that they may be having over what's acceptable and what's not acceptable, where Serana's trying to assert herself by saying, no, this is what I'm going to do, and Korvelain saying, no, you're not going to do that, and this is what, you know, I'm going to take this power away from you. If you're going to use it against my wishes, I'm going to take steps to make sure that it doesn't do you any good. It makes things more difficult for us in combat, but I feel like it's a difficulty that enhances the overall storytelling. Now, our Moth Priest guy, if I was playing Korvelain purely for my own enjoyment, I would not allow him to just wander off into Skyrim and then meet him at, at Fort Dawnguard. I would probably escort him all the way there just because from a roleplay perspective it makes sense, and who knows what adventures you could have along the way. But we're going to get him outside here, and then we'll just fast travel back to Fort Dawnguard. All right. Now, does he come out here with us? Or is he essentially considered gone now? All right. Oh, there he is. There he is. Okay, my assumption is then that he would walk all the way there.
You arrived just in time. I think those vampires were getting hungry. I owe you a debt for the timely rescue.
Yes, you do.
Thank the divine.
It has been a long time since I played this because I had forgotten that he comes out of that spell aggressive. I had no idea what was going on there. I was like completely lost for a minute there. I thought the game was glitching, but no. Okay, he's going that way. All right, well, let's reconvene back at Fort Dawnguard, shall we? All right. We are here. Taking the whole crew in this time. I remember the first time that I ever played through this DLC. It was on the Xbox, and I had an issue where every time I would bring a follower in here, the Dawn Guard would attack my follower. So I'm hoping that that was just something that was patched or whatever. I don't recall playing it since then, to be honest. Here we go. We did it. We escorted him here. Right? All right.
I'm impressed you could find a moth priest so quickly.
Well, I'm an impressive individual. All right. Does he have the scroll? Is everything ready?
For the reading? Yeah. Just let the old man know when you're ready.
All right. I think we're ready. Hey, old man, we're ready.
My trip to Skyrim has become quite the adventure.
Okay. What do you know about the Elder Scrolls?
Not as much as I would like. Even after spending decades of my life in study of the Elder Scrolls, they remain a great mystery to me. It's true for most of my brothers in the Order as well. We don't really know where the scrolls came from or who wrote them. What we do know is that some are born with a special gift to read the Elder Scrolls. These chosen few can divine events of the past and future within the scrolls, though in time it drives us to blindness. I'm afraid there's not much more to tell. Even today, the Elder Scrolls remain a great enigma.
All right.
Ah, my rescuer. It's good to see you again.
Have my companions made you feel welcome?
It's not exactly the hospitality I'm used to, but your man Isran has seen to my needs well enough. And might I add, this is a remarkable fortress. I have colleagues back home that would love to study this place in detail.
Are you prepared to read the Elder Scroll?
Oh, most certainly. Let's find out what secrets the scroll can tell. Now, if everyone will please be quiet, I must concentrate. I see a vision before me. An image of a great bow. I know this weapon. It is Oriel's bow. Now a voice whispers, saying, among the night's children, a dread lord will rise. In an age of strife, when dragons return to the realm of men, darkness will mingle with light, and the night and the day will be as one. The voice fades and the words begin to shimmer and distort. But wait, there is more here. The secret of the bow's power is written elsewhere. I think there is more to the prophecy, recorded in other scrolls. Yes, I see them now. One contains the ancient secrets of the dragons, and the other speaks of the potency of ancient blood. My vision darkens, and I see no more. To know the complete prophecy, we must have the other two scrolls. I must rest now. The reading has made me weary.
Come on, old man. You should get some rest.
Do you have a moment to talk?
Fine, what do you want?
Do you have a moment to talk?
What's on your mind?
That moth priest, Dexian. He said we needed 2 other Elder Scrolls. I think I know where we can start looking.
Why didn't you say something earlier?
Half the people in your little crew would just as soon kill me as talk to me. That doesn't exactly make me want to open up. I got a warmer welcome from my father, and that's saying something.
All right. Do you trust Harkon at all?
It's not a question of trust. He's just obsessed with the prophecy. And from what I could tell, 1,000 extra years of obsession haven't made him any better. I should have found him a hobby. I don't even think he sees me as his daughter anymore. I'm just... a means to an end.
So where is this Elder Scroll?
We need to find my mother, Valerica. She'll definitely know where it is. And if we're lucky, she actually has it herself.
You said she didn't... You said you didn't know where she went.
The last time I saw her, she said that she'd go somewhere safe. Somewhere that my father would never search. Other than that, she wouldn't tell me anything. But the way she said it, someplace he would never search. It was cryptic, yet she called attention to it.
Sounds like she was being cautious.
Maybe. What I can't figure out is why she said it that way. Besides, I can't imagine a single place my father would avoid looking. And he's had all this time, too. Any ideas?
Hiding with the Dawn Guard? No. Sealed away like you were? Castle Volkihar. She's not going to be with the Dawn Guard, and she's not going to be sealed away because she can't seal herself away, so Castle Volkihar.
Wait, that almost makes sense. There's a courtyard in the castle. I used to help her tend a garden there. All of the ingredients for our potions came from there. She used to say that my father couldn't stand the place. Too peaceful.
Isn't that pretty risky, staying around the castle?
Oh, absolutely. But my mother's not a coward.
Oh, Lydia.
I don't think we'll actually trip over her there, but...
Lydia's a
it's worth
big
look.
ox. Okay. Okay, they're not going to let us use the front door.
True. But I know a way we can get to the courtyard without arousing suspicion. There's an unused inlet on the northern side of the island that was used by the previous owners to bring supplies out of the castle. An old escape tunnel from the castle exits there. I think that's our way in.
All right. Secret entrances sound good. Let's go to the castle. Excellent. We have a mission. Well, everybody, I want to thank you for joining the expedition. Make sure you join in the discussion below and subscribe so you don't miss any legs of the journey. And check your equipment and pack your gear for the next leg of the expedition coming next week. Thank you all for watching. Discovery awaits.